Dateline is doing a whole new special on Lori Vallow and the Daybell debacle, which I'm very, very excited to watch this week.
Well, if Dateline is doing it, it'll be done classy and right. All right, y'all, thank y'all so much for listening. And we do want to mention we've gotten a lot of amazing feedback for our Spotify crossover. Thank you all so much for your amazing support. We have also heard this is sort of, it is
we're Obama-caring the app.
Yes, we're Obama-caring the app. It's a difficulty of success. Evidently, the app is crashing a little bit for some of you. We are working on this. We're speaking with Spotify. We are assured Henry and I are just like, did you try hitting your phone with the hammer?
And turn it off? Yeah, I know.
Did you drown it in
fix
mayonnaise? So we see your DMs, Henry and I. We see your DMs and your messages. We apologize if you've had any inconvenience, but we are working on it, and everything will correct itself.
We are the very harassing them.
All right, everyone. And also, we are hitting the road in April, so make sure to come on out to our last Book on the Left tour. We are very excited to see you all.
We can't wait, man. Again, get those tickets. Having fun. Can't wait to see you in Vegas. Vegas, baby. They're for my birthday. I forgot that's actually on my birthday.
No kidding. Last year was the Hollywood Forever Cemetery on my birthday, and now we get to be in Vegas for yours. That's great.
No, man. So come help me celebrate in Vegas. We're going to get poisoned in Vegas.
I love it.
I'm so excited. I fucking love Vegas, man.
Vegas is very fun, right? See,
it's a devil's playground. It's so much fun.
That's why when I was there alone and I called you guys and was like, well, we have a show in Vancouver, which is the West Coast. Maybe I should just stay here.
So get out of there. Get out of there.
So, yes, come and support our live show. You can find all those tickets at the last podcast on theleft.com. I also have some shows coming up here in March for Hail Yourself America, and I will get those dates to you as well. We have, I think, 5 or 6 shows, so that'll be very fun. And Henry, After Midnight, that movie has premiered.
Yep. And thank you guys so much for the support, and people who came out to see the Q&As in LA have been so much fun. But yeah, rent the movie, man. It's a very nice romantic monster tale. Live every day like you got a jar full of tongues, but you're excited to show your family, and you got it's fresh tongues.
Well, that's not good.
Knowing that these little cute little tongues are going to bring delight to some of the sick kids at the hospital. That you're going to bring these bags, this whole jar of tongues over to the kids, and they're going to laugh. They're going to laugh at seeing all the funny, cute little tongues in there, and you're going to shake them around. This is a positive thing to do with little cancer-riddled baby tongues. Use it.
Is it a children's hospital for psychopaths? Why would the kids be happy with it?
What a cute little Tim Burton maraca that would be. That click, 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 just shaking them tongues around. All the kids will like it. It's an easy instrument for kids with weak arms because tongues aren't that heavy. You can give it to these little cancer kids and they can have fun with it. They can play with little, I don't know if that's, you could show them the little dead infant babies and be like, you see, you live longer than that one. And that makes them feel better.
It's about perspective. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for listening. Never forget, hail yourselves.
Hail Satan.
Magustalations.
Hail me.
Indeed. And you know what? If you're going to buy a house, check out the floorboards. It seems like you need to check the floorboards before you do the master bedroom.
That is what happens. You got to get your house inspected. And sometimes something like this, but hey, man, let's just call it a happy accident.
You could charge double.
Yep.
I agree.
This show is made possible by listeners like you. Thanks to our ad sponsors, you can support our shows by supporting them. For more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lastpodcastnetwork.com.
We're facing the biggest health challenge of our generation, and we've shown that together we're stronger than ever. But to keep making a difference, we need to support each other. If you're a man and you've had coronavirus recently, then you might just have the antibodies to help save lives in your blood plasma. That's why we need men to donate. Giving blood plasma is safe, easy, and during this lockdown, considered essential travel. Be the difference. Search Donate Plasma or call 0300 123 2323 today.
Hey, what's up, everyone? How you doing? Ben Kissel here, letting you know my documentary, Hail Yourself America, all about my run for Brooklyn Borough President in March. I am so excited to see you all. March 9th, I'll be in Syracuse at the Funny Bone. March 10th, I'll be in Albany at the Funny Bone. March 11th, I will be in Manchester at The Funny Bone, March 15th in Orlando at the Improv Orlando, March 22nd in Columbus, Ohio at The Funny Bone, and March 29th, you guessed it, at The Funny Bone in Kansas City. So I am very excited to see you all there. Just search the internet. You'll be able to find tickets, and we shall hang out. Okay, everyone, hail yourselves. Enjoy this episode.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
JFK. Such an important story in history.
Oh, absolutely.
And also reflects upon one of the most incredible history lessons that the world has ever been provided. We didn't start. Whoa! The world's been turning since the world's been turning.
JFK, blown away. What else do I have to say?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Technically, though, Billy Joel, he had a lot more to say after he said JFK blown away. That's technically when the story begins.
JFK blown away. What else have I got to say? That's the angriest Billy Joel has ever gotten.
Well, you never know what's going to happen. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the last podcast on the left. I am Ben, staring at Marcus Park's face.
Hello.
Hello. And then, of course, we have Hollywood Henry Zabrowski out there, who is bringing us the classic hit, putting it back in your brain.
We didn't ignite it, but we tried to fight it.
I think he says they did ignite it.
No, they didn't start the fire.
We didn't.
No. I swear to God.
The world's been burning since the world's been turning.
No, we didn't ignite it. It's like he just slurs the didn't ignite it.
I swear to God, they say we did ignite it, but we tried to fight it.
No, you fucking, oh my God. You don't have towels in your home.
I do have towels now.
You no longer have an opinion that remotely matters. Nothing matters anymore. What you
It
say.
all matters.
But yeah, JFK blown away. What else have I got to say? Cut to 8 hours of podcast about just that. And thank you, Billy Joel, for the tee up.
He is the best piano man of all time. All right.
You see what those fingers do to a piano. Can you even imagine what it's like all over your body?
I can't imagine
now you're
it.
just channeling your mother.
Oh, my, Billy Joel. Crispy fingers, Billy Joel. The old crispy paw. Okay, everyone, we are on to part 2 of JFK.
So when we last left Lee Harvey Oswald, he'd just become aware of Operation Midnight Ride, which was a 29-city anti-communist speaking tour headlined by extreme right-wing former General Edwin A. Walker.
Actually, and it was middled by Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh, no kidding. Love him.
Now, as we mentioned last episode, General Walker was by no means a fan of John F. Kennedy, because Kennedy had removed Walker from his post in West Germany for trying to indoctrinate troops with his right-wing views and for allegedly calling Eleanor Roosevelt, quote-unquote, pink.
Ooh.
If you cannot be a general trying to indoctrinate your troops with right-wing propaganda, what can you do? I mean, just silence the man then.
Well, I gotta tell y'all, some of you boys are just too tight. You're too delicious to need handouts from the government. Your cocks are too long and elegant to allow abortion.
General, why is it that you always mention the size of our cocks when you're bringing up abortion rights?
Listen, I think we could have a longer discussion about this in the shower so I can make sure that you're as American as possible, because a true soldier will get hard for his general.
I'm going to call our president, Mr. Kennedy, and try to get you removed from your post. Is that cool?
Well, Walker had been portraying himself as a righteous and patriotic anti-communist martyr, saying to anyone who would listen that he'd been a victim of the covert communist agenda that was being pushed by JFK along with various other insidious communist elements in the government and the country at large.
These people from across the Iron Curtain, they want us to start eating rice. We ain't eating rice in Texas no more. We eating elbow noodles. Let's give the elbow to communism.
Ooh, I love elbow noodles.
Now, somewhat to the credit of Texans, when General Walker ran for governor in 1962, he placed last among the 6 Democrats on the 1962 gubernatorial ballot.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, he was a Democrat.
There you go.
He was a Democrat?
there was a big switcheroo that happened.
Yeah, there was a big
the
switcheroo.
switcheroo.
Yeah.
A little flip-flop, something like that. We can yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, all that, yeah. But that still meant that 138,000 Texans voted for General Edwin Walker.
138,000 people at least voted for shrimp-flavored M&Ms. Do you remember when they were trying to get the new flavor? I think it was the new flavor M&Ms or do it with color. Oh, yeah. It was scrotum gray was what they voted for.
Tastes like shrimp. That's the scrotum.
What that meant was that Walker and those of his ilk, such as supporter George Lincoln Rockwell, who was the leader of the American Nazi Party, very much had a strong contingent in Dallas when Lee Harvey Oswald lived nearby in Fort Worth.
So they literally were like, you can call me a Nazi, but don't you call me a communist.
Well, I mean, there were people like General Edwin Walker that were like, yeah, well, he may be a Nazi, but at least he's not a communist.
Different set of standards.
Well, different set of standards, and they also made the strange bedfellows excuse.
I also don't know. I think it's got heavily to do, I think, with the racist vibes and who's allowed to do what. They really love the Nazis' ability to tell everybody exactly what they are supposed to do with their bodies and their religion.
Right.
And since Walker was so far right-wing, and since he had the support of the biggest Nazi in the United States, Lee Harvey Oswald saw him as a fascist, which honestly is a pretty fair assessment to make.
Okay.
And just before Operation Midnight Ride was about to commence, Lee Harvey Oswald and George de Mohrenschildt, Oswald's only friend, had a conversation about Walker at a party they'd both attended.
What a bash that must have been.
I am sick and tired of all these people coming up to me, again, sitting alone in my room, just having a nice day. Just coming to my door?
You sent out an invitation.
What is this, cheese? This is just old milk. Cheese is just old milk.
Yeah, but it's a great party. You want to talk about communism and how it's like not that bad?
Well, according to George, Oswald was entertaining the old question of what one would do if they had the chance to stop Hitler from rising to power. It's a fun little thought exercise.
Sure.
And of course, he's comparing Hitler to General Walker. And George almost offhandedly said that anyone who killed Walker would be doing society a favor. And so, thinking that this was finally his chance to be more than an armchair revolutionary, Lee Harvey Oswald decided that he was going to be the person to stop what he saw as a new Hitler before things got out of hand.
So he did the Cousin Eddie route? It's his
He went
defense.
down, wrapped a bow around him. He's just like, look what I did, everyone. And everyone's just like, that's symbolic.
But there had been other events occurring in the geopolitical realm that had influenced how Oswald was looking at the world. Just the year before, America had been involved in a disastrous operation that came to be known as the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Now, how could that be bad?
Honestly, Bay of Pigs, I don't want to invade a Bay of Pigs. I'd love to be invited to one, though.
It's a luau.
And I pick the big, fattest, most succulent one, and I would seduce him, and he would think that, I'm about to go and be, what a nice home I'll have, and what a nice setup I'll have, a little PS4 television. I'll lie to him, and slit his throat in the night.
Operation Midnight Ride.
Well, to make a very long story short,
Yes.
Cuba at that time had just been captured by Fidel Castro, who, if you'll remember, only died about 4 years ago after stepping aside to let his brother rule Cuba in 2006.
He officially died 4 years ago. He died 38 years ago. The man was on life support forever.
You kept the brain alive. That's the only part that matters.
Yeah.
That's true.
Now, back in the 60s, Fidel Castro was a bit of a boogeyman in America because he'd led a revolution in Cuba that replaced a dictatorship that was friendly to the United States with a communist state that was friendly to the USSR. And all of this had happened just 90 miles from Florida.
And that's where my father was bravely defending our country during Vietnam on a submarine in the Gulf of Mexico, pissing into Cuban waters so they would know. That you see where this beer piss is floating? That's where you can't come with your communism,
Wow.
Cubans.
It takes a hero.
It does.
And so, the CIA, using money that had been allocated by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, sponsored and trained a group of Cuban exiles on the hope that they would retake Cuba and replace Castro with someone more in line with U.S. interests and ideologies.
And that worked out great, right?
Yeah. See what we have here? It's called a potato gun. You're going to want to go in there. Now, you scatter the people because they're hungry. They will try to get the little potato pellets. But this potato pellet can also penetrate the mind of a communist.
However, while this program began with Eisenhower, the actual invasion took place in the first year of John F. Kennedy's administration, and the entire operation was a massive failure, specifically because of John F. Kennedy.
Someone forgot the pineapples. You can't eat pig without pineapple.
Without pineapple, none of this is al pastor. This is a obviously very complicated story within history that we're boiling down as much as possible. But this is another one of those. Let's just keep counting the amount of enemies John F. Kennedy was breeding during this time period.
Absolutely.
Well, basically, the United States was supposed to provide air cover for the anti-Castro forces as they stormed the titular Bay of Pigs. But
he sets us up for that. That's why I didn't laugh, because Marcus sets us up, because he always says, and that's when he returned to duty. And then, titular. This isn't going to, the fat boys are going to laugh at this, he says as he writes.
He is right.
But the United States had publicly said that they were not going to directly involve themselves in the fight for Cuba. They said, this is between the Cubans. We're not going to provide any sort of military resources. Of course, that was a lie.
You say lie. We say secret. It's just a little secret. We're just not going to tell everybody that we're going to help them. We're going to kind of force help on them.
Yes.
In a way that they will definitely love.
But when it became obvious to the entire world that the United States was indeed interfering in Cuba's affairs militarily because we had bombed Cuban air bases the day before the invasion, John F. Kennedy pulled the air cover for the invasion itself, and the operation failed.
Now, of course, it was a dead giveaway when the remnants of the bomb were nothing but hot dogs. And that is tried and true when a U.S. bombs someone. We always put a little hot dog in every bomb.
Hey, man, because it's always important. We may not get you with our dynamite, but we can maybe get you with a little bit of heart disease, which is what we've been sending around this world for a very long time.
Absolutely.
But they openly told him that they only had half of forces that they needed to do this invasion of Cuba. Literally a full-on, the long goal, it seemed like they did a little toe in, saying it's kind of it's an invasion of Cuba, but they didn't really fully on say no, we are gonna go take Cuba. We're gonna go take over the whole thing. They tried to do it light style, diet invasion, and then when they couldn't pull it off, JFK pulled. I also did not know until researching it a little bit was that they had actually already done a round of air cover. There already was that whole. They sent a bunch of planes over. They bombed
the bases.
Cuba.
They bombed a bunch of bases. Yeah, that's how that's how everyone found out that the U.S. was a part of it, because someone from Cuba went to the UN and said, "The United States is bombing us,"
and then the U.S. was just big if true.
Doing the Gmail undo button. I mean, no, it wasn't us.
It literally is just a classic American. This is an example of just classic American foreign policy, where you go and you attempt something and you come back and you're like, they're really serious about being a sovereign nation. So turns out they're dead serious about it. I don't know why, but they love it. They love what they perceive to be freedom.
Well, since the United States had still involved themselves halfway, Castro was able to portray himself as the man who was able to defeat the military might of the United States, even though he hadn't really. If the United States had fully committed, he wouldn't have stood a fucking chance. But that perception that he had beaten them back elevated his status in Cuba to even more of a national hero. And since the U.S. had acted aggressively, Cuba's relationship with the Soviet Union only got stronger, which of course led to the Cuban Missile Crisis the following year, which almost resulted in the literal end of the world.
Very dangerous. Both, of course, the people on board had the right. They could have bombed whatever. Thank God for the leaders on those vessels that they did not.
Well, naturally, this massive public failure on a global scale was gold for an anti-Kennedy firebrand like General Edwin Walker. And part of his Operation Midnight Ride speech was a strong suggestion, almost a command, that Kennedy should kill Castro. And who should be a gigantic supporter of Castro but communist superfan Lee Harvey Oswald. He had recently decided that Cuba was the true realization of the communist state, as opposed to the Soviet Union, who had been nothing but a disappointment.
I mean, it is the Florida of communism. It is a much better place than the USSR.
Lee Harvey Oswald got mad like a Metallica fan after the Black Album, saying that USR went pop. Right? That they are now doing. They are no longer true hardcore metal. That Fidel Castro, though, is just sexy enough to get his attention.
So, 3 days after General Walker gave his speech publicly calling for the death of Fidel Castro, Lee Harvey Oswald began planning his first assassination by doing reconnaissance on Walker's home.
See, this is where... no, maybe that's a bad sentence to say. I was just going to say this is where Lee Harvey Oswald could use his powers for good. But maybe that's bad to say. But no, you know what? He's a Nazi. No, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say this is where he could use his demonic superpowers for good.
Well, telling his wife Marina that he was trying to find a faster route from his job to Jaggers to an evening typing course.
Lock up your kids, ladies. It's an evening typing course.
Nothing like a nice midnight typing course.
Well, telling her that that's what he was doing, Oswald started spending his off time studying maps of Dallas, even though his job and the typing course were only a couple of blocks away from each other. But he said, I gotta be efficient here. I gotta figure out the best route. Meanwhile, Marina's life was only getting worse. Oswald would constantly threaten to send her back to Russia while at the same time being horrifically violent. One time, he choked her because she couldn't make red beans and rice, telling her that he wouldn't let her get out of this marriage alive.
Jesus.
I'm gonna let you get out of this marriage alive, which is not a good thing in the vows as well.
No, not at all.
Technically, that is till death do we part.
Yeah. You're not
But
getting
not
out of
if
this
it's
thing out
done
alive.
to
Yeah.
you.
That's why if you're a bridesmaid or a groomsman, just carry a little red flag in your back pocket during every ceremony and just raise it if anyone ever says that.
Well, I think you could say one of us ain't getting out of this thing alive.
It's very dangerous. Yes, okay.
It's not a threat or a promise. But you can see him looking at the maps and being like, oh, I don't know what to do, Marina. I don't know how to get to work faster. I got it. I should start living at work.
What are you, George Costanza?
Yep.
Well, eventually, things got so bad that Marina tried hanging herself.
Oh, my God.
But when Oswald found her tying the noose in the bathroom, he slapped her in the face and called her stupid for even thinking about it. But while all this was happening, Oswald had discovered where General Walker lived, so he started visiting Walker's house and taking photos of the entrances, further extending his secret spy fantasy life.
Because now he's in full spy cosplay in his way. He is out there. He now has a mission because, again, during this whole time period, especially the first half of his life, he was so sick of being what we called, he said the armchair revolutionary.
Yeah.
Now he's really gonna get his boots on the ground, and he has been so excited for this. There's a really interesting book that I started reading called The Idle Warriors by Kerry W. Thornley, who served with Lee Harvey Oswald during when he was in the Marines, and he wrote the first draft of this book came out before the assassination.
Wow.
And it's essentially a character study of Lee Harvey Oswald and what he was like when they were all stationed together. And it paints a portrait of an overly serious person to the point of ridiculousness, where he is now overcome with how everything's a fucking sham. Like he goes full, everybody's a fake. There's no such thing as reality. He's getting like really, really deep. But it is an interesting character study to kind of see what happens here, where he's looking for meaning. All the time. He kind of has this idea that he is supposed to be a part of the wind of fate of history, and these are now him trying to take his like active shots and making himself a part of history.
Then, on March 12, 1963, Oswald ordered a 6.5 millimeter Mannlicher Carcano rifle, complete with a scope, for $21.45, and he ordered it under the name of Alec Hedel. This would be the rifle that Oswald would eventually use on November 22nd, 1963.
He just got it out of a magazine, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this rifle has become a heavily debated subject over the last 57 years, just like pretty much everything else in this case. One of the nagging questions about the rifle is why Oswald would order it under an assumed name when he could openly walk into any gun store in Texas and get one the same day.
And he could use the fake ID that he already had. He literally could use the fake ID, buy it under an assumed name. Why would you create this whole paper trail?
If you want to see a conversation that involves a lot of people adjusting their belts, it's when they talk about this gun. I don't. That's interesting.
Well, there are two reasons behind this action. One mind-numbingly mundane, and the other a little more complicated. The complicated reason is that Lee Harvey Oswald was continuing his secret communist super spy fantasy, and ordering a rifle under an assumed name to a P.O. box is just what a spy would do to avoid the attention of the FBI. But the more mundane reason, and honestly probably the one that had the most bearing on this decision, was that Lee Harvey Oswald had a coupon.
No, hold on a second. Wait. This whole thing is about couponing?
Hey, man, even assassins got to save money when you're on a budget.
What did it say? How much money did he save on this coupon? Is it what?
Extreme deal makers. Search for that. My mom clipped coupons for a long time. She would ban whole stores. She would not go to whole chains.
Oh, I remember.
Because of the coupons.
My mom and we had a great Twinkie scam because they wrote the buy one, get one thing wrong. So you actually got a bunch for free. And then Piggly Wiggly kicked us out. But we had Twinkie. I've told that story before. My mom was very smart.
It still resonates. You ever shop at gunamuck.com?
Gunamuck?
Yeah, new customers get 15% off with the promo code Kill the President.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, concerning the accuracy of this gun, and this is one of the biggest points of contention, some derisively call the Mannlicher Carcano the humanitarian rifle because it supposedly has a horrible track record as far as how effective it is at killing a man from a distance.
But they do know that stray bullets kill people too, right? So maybe it's just you just killed a wrong man or a small child?
It's supposed to be bad for sniping. It's supposed to be inaccurate.
Right.
Yeah, but maybe, and then we'll find out, maybe that is a key to this whole mystery altogether. Maybe the wrong man was murdered.
Ooh. What did Jackie Onassis was a man? Is that the biggest takeaway from our series? She's a man, baby. I'm going to go die.
a man, baby.
I actually
Yes,
have to die now. I'm done.
And take this as you will, considering the source, but the FBI did run a series of marksman tests on the Mannlicher Carcano, and they found that in the right hands, it was highly accurate with low kickback. But it comes from the FBI, so if you don't trust anything the FBI says, that's meaningless to you. But in the hands of a trained marksman like Lee Harvey Oswald, he would only have to fire this gun 10 or so times in order to identify the peculiarities of his particular weapon, and Oswald came to know this rifle intimately.
And for our gun nerds, this is as far as we can go. I know that I don't know. I don't know how the rifle works. I don't know, but that's why we're saying the FBI says it works. We don't know. I don't necessarily trust the FBI either. I don't know.
I watched the PBS documentary I watched. They did prove that it could be done. They shot those big old jelly things, which I'd love to see.
Yes.
And they were pretty intense. So there was some.
That's
evidence
another
that it works.
must view for this series. Watch the Frontline PBS documentary about Lee Harvey Oswald. It's 2 hours and it's
I
fantastic.
love Frontline.
It's so fucking good.
The best.
And so, with the rifle in his possession, Oswald put